Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, Edison International, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Kern High School District, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Valley Strong Credit Union, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Mary Lou.
And I'm Sam. For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357, everywhere else 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media.
You do all the social media stuff?
No.
Good. All right. I was just asking if you did a lot. So, Samantha, where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I go to Warren Junior High and I'm in 7th grade.
How is junior high now?
It's pretty good. The multi-period schedule makes the day go way faster.
Oh, so you like that? Mm-hmm. And how many classes do you have now in 7th grade?
Well,
I know you have like maybe 8 periods or something like that. How many are actually classes instead of like lunch or?
Well, I have 6 because ELA is 2 periods and then lunch is 5th, but.
Okay. Are you doing anything in junior high school other than just going to school? So any other activities?
Yeah, I'm on the volleyball team right now.
Oh, good. So that obviously got started at the beginning of school.
Yeah, really,
All right.
really.
And if I'm not mistaken, they also have boys volleyball in junior high as well. So do you guys think your team would do well against the boys? Or do you think you would just dominate them?
I think we would kill them.
Ooh, very good. All right. Well, you know what? Maybe some of the guys are watching. All right. Maybe you guys can have a little practice and see how everything goes. All right. So good. Everything's going well with school then?
Yeah.
Good. You know what this is? This is our 23rd season of Do the Math. And you are the first guest for our 23rd season. Now, there's some very special people that have been well known in the sports world with the number 23. So, can you think of any?
Donnie.
Donnie, there you go. Donnie, we'll get to him in a minute. But a lot of people will probably recognize from years gone by and people my age and probably yours. Have you ever heard of Michael Jordan from basketball?
I was just going to say that too.
Good. All right. See, so he's well known also, right, for the 23. Nowadays in football, probably a lot of kids being in California would know McCaffrey with the Niners, right? Is that
Oh,
your team?
yes. Oh, yeah. One of my teams.
One of your teams. All right.
Green Bay is the team.
Can't you only have a team? You can't have.
You can have multiple teams.
Oh my gosh!
But
All right,
there's
good.
one that just stands out.
What's that?
Oh, I don't really watch football.
But there's one that stands out.
For my brother,
Oh, what's that?
the Chargers.
Okay, well, we'll throw him in
And
there.
they did
But
really
anyway,
well.
the most famous Donnie, Don Mattingly, had 23, right? So I'm awfully impressed that you know that was Don Mattingly. You remember something like that. But anyway, this is the 23rd season of Do the Math, and we are very, very happy to have lasted this long and looking forward to another 23 at least as we keep on going. You ready to do a little math? Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at the social media problem of the day. So we're going to see it up on the screen right now. So rewrite the equation 3 plus 2y is equal to x to solve for y. So taking a look at that, Sam, what do you think is the proper answer and how are you going to go about this?
Well, first I would probably subtract the 3
Okay, that's
But-
fine. And why do you think that's the first thing?
because the other integers have variables.
Okay, so the 2's got a variable with it. All right, so you want to get rid of the 3, so you want to subtract 3. So if we just keep that in mind, we see that A and B are both subtracting 3. So can we eliminate C and D, or do you think they might still have a possibility of working out?
They probably will have a possibility.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. All right, well, we need to solve this, so what do you want to do?
Well, I would divide because the inverse of multiplication is dividing for 2y.
Okay, so you said the inverse, right? of multiplication, what is being multiplied? Because there's some kids going to go and say, I don't see the multiplication symbol up there.
2y.
Right, so when they're next to each other, that implies multiplication. So you want to divide, which is the inverse you said. So explain what we're going to do now.
Well, you could do like 3 and 2 on top of a y. But
So you want to take 3 plus 2 and divide it by y? Or you want?
No, because
'cause
you
that
need
doesn't
to
make
find
sense, does it?
x also.
Kind of confusing, huh?
Yeah.
Especially when you can't write it all out, right? We're just trying to do this in our heads. Here's something to think about. You know that you have to get the 2 and the y separated.
Yeah.
And you said to divide. So what do we want to get rid of? The 2, right? Because we want to solve for y. So if we have to divide by 2, are there any answers up there that are dividing by 2?
A.
That's a pretty quick answer, A, right?
Oh.
Okay, but A is the only one that is actually dividing by 2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you look at that right there, you go, well, I have 2y, I need to solve for y, divide by 2, get rid of it. The only one up there is the first one, A. You want to go with that one, or do you want to keep trying?
From the way you said that, I think we should keep trying.
Oh, because of the way I said it. See, that's good, because I'm glad you remember the way we did stuff in class. I don't want you to just listen to me and go, yeah, that's the way we're going to do it. I'm glad that you questioned it. But now think. The only thing you want to do first is divide by 2. How many options divide by 2?
1.
1. So do you want to go with that, or do you want to keep trying?
Well, I would keep trying just to see if they have different answers or the same answer as A.
Okay.
Because they might
So let's think
know.
about this reasoning through it. We want to solve for y. All of them have an answer where it says y equals something. But we know we have to subtract 3. So A and B both do that.
Oh, so it is A.
So the answer is A.
Yeah.
So that's the third time I've heard you say A. So you said A, all too many times. You're going with A.
Yeah.
You're stuck with it now. Let's take a look and see if A is indeed correct. There you go,
Oh,
nicely
good.
done. See, we just kind of talked through it a little bit, and I know if you had time to write it all out, you would do a little bit more with that.
And
But that is today's social media problem.
And
today.
you were balancing that equation, weren't you? Is what
Yeah.
you were doing.
Right, and sometimes it's a little more difficult to do it in your head, but as we talked through it, and then because immediately you said A. So nice work on that. Hey, do remember 636-4357 is the phone number. We have tutors available for you to get help with. Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout most of the school year. The beginning of 23 years begins right now. We'll take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News, well, we have our very own superintendent, Dr. John Mendiburu. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you again. Thank you for allowing us to proceed with season 23.
Oh, anytime. This is a wonderful, wonderful show.
Good. I'm glad you like it. Now, this isn't your first time on, so you're an old
No.
pro with this. So you are the superintendent of all of the schools in Kern County. So before we get into things that you're doing, how many schools or students are we talking about?
There are close to 200,000 students in Kern County
Okay. so
right now, from pre-K all the way through the higher ed.
That's a lot of
High
people to
school
keep
is
an eye
about
on.
194,000 total.
Okay. And you've been superintendent for how long?
I've been superintendent here for over a year now, and then in the Rosedale School District for close to 12 years.
Okay. So you're pretty good at it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about pretty good at it, but I've been doing it.
Hey, you're still here, right? All right, so there's a lot of things that the superintendent of the school's office is involved in, and a lot of services are provided for those 200,000 students. But some of the things that we like to do is focus on getting them ready for careers. And one of the things that you guys always have been doing, and at least for the last 25 years, is hosting a college night. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And I know we have some footage to look at also.
Sure. College Night is an extremely important event here in Kern County. Last night we sponsored the College Night at the Mechanic Bank of Theater. We had over 8,000 students from junior high all the way through high school who were able to come out. This is an opportunity for them to really get to connect with colleges to see what programs and career opportunities that they have for them as they can start planning to see where they want to go and what opportunities they have throughout the state of California.
Right, and there are a lot, because I remember going to some of these things, and you've got a lot of different colleges being represented, but other industries as well.
Yes.
And do you think that it's been growing every year, or you kind of think it's leveled out where you've got an idea of how many are going to be showing up?
It grows. It depends each year.
Okay.
We do get new schools that will come and reach out to students. It's a great opportunity for them to connect with the students and really see and connect to find out what they want and what they desire. And based on their input is how they come back the next year and provide greater services.
Okay, so that's been going on with the superintendent of schools office for
25 years.
25 years. Something a little bit newer, and the new building down Southwest Bakersfield, CTEC, and we know that they have a career expo also, and that's something
Yes.
also that you guys are involved with.
Yes, the Kern High School District sponsors the Career Tech here in Bakersfield, where students throughout Kern County come to visit. They see programs, colleges. They also see trades who come and show and demonstrate what it's like to be in that particular career or trade path. It's been so successful that we created and emulated that same concept in the East Kern area for those students who are not able to come to Bakersfield to get the opportunity to experience the career paths that can be provided to them.
Well, I know that CTEC STEM Expo is pretty awesome, because I know that thing has grown a lot over the last few years, because when we used to go out there and we would talk to people and talk about having them on the program and discussing how math and science are applied to that, the number of industries and businesses that are out there, it seems like they're going to need another field pretty soon. And the amount of students that go out there is just tremendous. I know that the guys go out there and they do a little bit of filming every year, as we just saw. But I think it's a great avenue for students to kind of get a lot of information at one time, just like that college night.
Yeah, correct. And they get the opportunity, they get to actually do hands-on activities.
Right.
Where they get to participate and kind of see and ask questions to those who are already in the field to see if that's something that they really want to get into, which then helps them decide what college or trade school path that they want to go down.
And I think that's probably the most valuable thing, is having the students being able to go, let me try this, and have an expert or somebody in that field right there with them. They can answer questions that day and find things out. So you mentioned quickly something that's going to be coming up, and that is the East Kern Career Expo. And that's for students that aren't able to make some of the other ones, but
Correct.
That's coming up in November, correct?
Correct. Early November, we'll be doing the same similar concept that has been done here in Bakersfield, where we bring out the East Kern entities. So we have a lot of the aerospace, East Kern, the cement factories. We have a lot of the industrial space, aerospace, NASA. They come out and they talk and they meet with the students. We have the military who also come out and talk with our students. And it's a great opportunity because this is right in their backyard. Many of those students do not want to leave their area once they graduate from high school, and they connect them with the colleges that are out there that can give them that path, or the career opportunities in trade schools.
Right, and I think there's a lot of students in Kern County, other parts of Kern County, that don't realize how rich a resource that is on East Kern over there.
Yeah, there's such a uniqueness about the East Kern area. They provide a lot of things not only for Kern County, but through the state and the nation as a whole. And so it's been a very valuable avenue and a venue for students to really do that hands-on experience that they get here in Bakersfield. They also get out at the East Kern as well.
All right, well, that East Kern Career Expo, the next one's coming up on November 7th, and I see that they've got the date down there. And you can always go on to our website, kern.org,
Yes.
and find out more about that program, as well as some of the other ones that go on all year also.
Yes, all that information is on the kern.org website.
You're a busy guy.
Well, you know, we have great people to do all the work.
Hey, same thing here at Do the Math, right? I'm the
Yep.
one out here, but there are a lot of people behind the scenes. And Dr. Mendiburu, thank you for
thank
coming
you.
down and spending
And
a little bit of time with us today.
Congratulations, 23 years and 23 more years to come, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you have all that confidence in me, because I will be here for 23 years if you are here for 23 more years.
Deal,
We'll plan on it.
deal.
All right, we'll get that guy upstairs, Steve Sanders, so we'll get in on this also.
Yeah, we'll get him
there
on
we
there
go.
too.
Why not? Hey, we are at the beginning of our 23rd season. We have tutors available to help most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the school year. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hello everybody, my name is Ariel, and today I will be teaching you guys how to use the distributive property. We'll start with problem number 1. So I would do it like this. 5 multiplied by 3 and then by 5. So that's also 5 times 3 plus 5 times 5. So 5 times 3 would be 15 plus 25, which then will equal to 40. So you see, you just need to multiply the outside number by the inside numbers and you keep this. So as for problem 2, you should do 7 times 3x, then 7 times 10y. So you can do this again, 7 times 3x. Oh yeah, by the way, you can also just, since the x and the multiplication sign look pretty similar, you can also use the multiplication sign as just a dot. So 7 times 3x, and then plus 7 times 10y. So then you would get 21x plus 70y. And that'd be it for that one. So now let's try something that's harder. This one, there's 3 different things that you need to multiply by. So first you just do 4 times 7, then 4 times 6x, and then 4 times 2y. So again, we would do it like this. 4 times 7, and since this is a minus sign, you keep the minus. And then 4 times 6x, and then plus 4 times 2y. So then you would just multiply 28 minus 24x plus 8y. And that would be it. Thank you.
Distributive property is one that you'll use for a long time in all aspects of life. In studio with us, we have Samantha, a 7th grade student from Warren Junior High, and Mary Lou to help her out. And I found a little ad in one of the local publications, and it shows us some pasta here.
Ravioli.
All right, some raviolis. All right. So when you look at that, Sam, what do you think of, or what do you see going on?
Well, first it makes me hungry. And then second, I think of our 6th grade gate year.
Okay.
Because, well, I know in gate we learned the Fibonacci sequence at one point.
Right, so kind of go through that a little bit. Show us the sequence, what's going on. Maybe you can write down over it or on the side of it. What do you see going on as far as the numbers go?
Well,
So at the very top, how many pieces
Yeah.
of pasta are there? How many
One.
raviolis?
Okay.
Right, so maybe just put a 1 right there.
One.
Okay, so now let's go down each side.
Okay. It's 1. It's 1. Oh, they're all 1s.
Right. So the fun comes in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So how many do we have here?
2, and then we have 3.
And then?
And 3. Well, I think that's 3.
That-
And then 4. And
So
that's 6. Right?
Is that 6?
That's 6.
Okay.
I can't tell.
And
That's
is that-
also 4.
So explain a little bit how those numbers are coming up like that.
Well, so you take the 2 numbers and you add them together to get that number. So like 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, or like 3 plus 3 is 6.
Good.
So like if you did 4, 6, it would be 10.
So
Perfect.
this would come
All right,
down
so
here.
that is
Yeah.
the Fibonacci sequence. All right, so get out of that, ladies, and we're going to go to the problem that you're going to be working on right now.
Okay.
Sam, this is a beautiful problem, and I chose it just for you. All right, so it says 1 plus 4 is 5. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
Okay. 2 plus 5 is 12.
not at all.
3 plus 6 is 21, and 8 plus 11 is something. So I want you to see if you can figure out a pattern, because math is all patterns, you just have to find the pattern. How can we go from 1 plus 4 is 5 to now 2 plus 5 is 12? How can we possibly get, what do we need to do in order to find that pattern? What's going on?
Well, that goes from 1 to 2, so it's like sequential, and that
Okay.
also is. But they might have like different values, like maybe some secret.
Well, those are the
So-
true values.
Those are the, so let's think of the Fibonacci and also almost think of like coding. When we do our numbers, we have like 1 to 9, right? And then we have 10, 1 to 10. And then we pick it back up again. Then we go 11 to 20. So if 4 was our 10, and then we would start over. So we know that 1 plus 4 is 5. So if we are starting over again,
How about if I give you something to work with? So
Okay.
Sam, on the right-hand side, up on the top, you're going to put A plus B, and then put an arrow going to the right. A plus AB, which means A times B, correct?
Okay.
So now try that.
so if this was A,
Oh, so 1 plus 1 times 4, which is 4. So it's 1 plus 1 times 4, which is 1 plus 4 equals 5.
does
Okay,
that
so
work
now
for
try
this?
the next one.
Yeah, but that one would be 2
Two.
plus 2 times 5.
Does that work? That works.
2 plus 10 equals 12.
So what about this one?
3 plus 3 times 6. 3 plus 18 equals 21.
And the last one then. Now let's plug in that
So do
equation
you
to
see
see
how
what
that's
the
making
answer
sense
is.
now?
Yeah.
Right?
So 8 plus 8 times
And what's 8 plus 88?
96.
Ah,
So you got 96. And that's what a lot of people would say is the answer is 96. And there's two different ways to do it. That's one way to do it. But there are some people that have said the answer is 40. So what I'd like you to do is maybe change your color of pen to red. And you can do it over by Mary Lou.
Oh.
right here. I gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
So think about if we did 1 plus 4 is 5. And the next line we see is 2 plus 5, which is what really?
7.
How can we go from 7 to 12?
You add 5.
Which is
Okay.
the answer to
Oh.
the first one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now look at the next one. What's 6 plus 3?
So you would add 19.
Show me that pattern also.
Yeah, what does that pattern look like? So again, if we have 2 plus 5
Plus 5.
plus 5,
That would equal
would that give us 12?
12.
Okay, so here we have 3 plus 6 plus what?
12.
Plus 12 gives us 21?
And so 8 plus 11 plus 21 equals 40.
Because what are we using? We're always using the
Answer.
Sum. Prior.
So you've seen two different ways to get two different answers. So if somebody said, I can do this and find the answer to be 40, would they be correct?
Yes.
If somebody said, I can do it and find a way to get 96, would they be correct?
Yes.
But with most math problems, how many correct answers can you usually get?
1.
Maybe we'll look into that a little bit further later on. But right now, we'll be back with more right after this. All right, well, as I mentioned, we are at the start of our 23rd season. And for the previous 22 and a half seasons, we had a different looking set.
We did.
And that was a beautiful set. It did exactly what we needed it to do for 22 years. But season 23 being a big year, we decided to get a new set.
Freshen the look.
And John Lenko is the man behind tearing down the old set and
Had a lot of help.
building the new set.
I had a lot of help.
So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, your role, your everyday role with KCSOS.
So I'm the coordinator of media services and KETN, which means I get to work with the good folks here in KETN to create programming for use throughout Kern County and California.
Which is a lot more than just Do the Math. Do the Math is one simply small part of this whole thing.
It is. We create a lot of video products, a lot of media products for our partners, our agencies that work with us, and departments in the office as well.
And California Streaming is part of that, correct?
Correct. California Streaming is the media library that we get all of our programming from, along with Do the Math.
All right. So as if that's not enough, you decided you wanted to tear down the set and build a new set.
Well, it was time for a new look, and we shopped around and we decided, you know what, the most efficient way to do it might be to do it ourselves. So that's what we did. That way we get exactly what we wanted.
Right, because when somebody else does it, you're like, I thought we talked about this and it didn't quite happen.
Right.
And these things are on a timeline.
Absolutely.
You don't have
We
all
only-
the time in the
right,
world to
We
do
only
this.
had the months of the off season, so we had to get going right away. So a lot of planning went in before our show ended last season, so we knew what we wanted to do when the time came to construct the new set.
And that, I think, is a little more time than people may realize, the planning behind it before you even start doing it.
Yeah, well, in our case, Mike, it was years. All of the things that were hamstringing us along in the production of the show were little notes in our mind. The other directors of the show, the producers of the show, we all sort of had that mental checklist of if we could change things, how would we change it? A lot of it stayed the same, but we made subtle tweaks and changes that would benefit the flow of the show as we go through the season.
Right, and the show is constantly changing.
It is.
And this
It is. It's evolved a
easily
lot.
adapts to the way the program has shifted over 23 years.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted something flexible that would allow us different areas to work in our studio.
All right, well, the first thing we had to do before we get this beautiful studio is tear down the first one.
Well, that's right.
So
And
talk
we-
a little bit about that.
Well, it was more of a deconstruction than it was demolition. We
Okay, well,
actually,
I like to say tear down though.
right, I know you do.
Okay.
But there's the iconic backdrop from our Do the Math set, the main set. There we are deconstructing it. And actually, we preserved that. It's in our new guest services area. So we can see the legacy set, but there we see
Right.
some of the pieces being cut down so we could remove them from the office. And some of the pieces got reused, a couple of elements got reused, and the look got recycled. and
Right,
reused.
because I think you want to keep a little bit of it,
Absolutely.
you know, so it's familiar,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but updated.
Absolutely. The show has a legacy in its look and its style, and we wanted to maintain that, but we wanted to enhance it as well.
Right, because I know the flow of the studio
Right.
is still the same, and there are some elements that you remind you,
Absolutely.
yeah, this is Do the Math,
Absolutely.
but it's a newer Do the Math,
Absolutely.
which is a little more exciting. I mean, for everybody
yeah.
who works here, I mean, the kids and guests, it's always exciting.
It's an updated look, but if you think back on the show, it's changed a lot, as you said, over the years. It was largely a call-in show, servicing a lot of elementary school and some middle schoolers.
Right.
Now we go all the way up through high schoolers, college students. So we have a little more sophisticated look and a look that reflects the content and the viewers.
Right, so once we had it deconstructed, then we needed to start constructing it.
Right,
All right, so
right.
let's take a look at part of this.
We began in the workshop, and of course, a lot of measurement took place. We had some dimensions to work with in our studio. We're fixed on the size of our studio. So the components that we created had to meet those, and a lot of it is made out of steel. Most all of it's made out of steel. And we, in the workshop, would be cutting that steel, measuring, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
And then it was welded together. And a lot of that was the finish work being done to the welds there, so we got a nice flush fit.
And I can see that you're working on this, and you're the one, so you obviously had some experience before this. This wasn't your first time doing
No,
this.
it wasn't. Fabrication's been a hobby of mine, and as we know, we've done segments about racing, and you can't be a racer without being a fabricator.
Right.
There we are sandblasting the pieces to clean all of the scale and rust off of them before we paint them. All of our pieces here are painted front and back, and in order to get a proper finish to them, we painted all of the pieces there before we brought them into the studio. They were all mocked up out in the workshop, and then brought in to final fit in the studio. But pretty much they came in as finished pieces, each wall. And we
And
did it a wall at a time
So
as we
you
brought
talked
it
a
in.
little bit about the sandblasting. There is a high amount of pressure on that.
There is.
Because I know when we were
There is.
talking about doing pressure units, I wanted somebody doing sandblasting,
yeah,
and we finally had it with you right in your backyard doing this.
That's 125 PSI, and you see the results here. We've got a piece here that we've got half of it blasted and half of it not. And this is the scale and the rust that you see on a piece that comes to you from the steel yard before
Right.
you begin fabricating it. We would grind that off in the areas that we're going to weld it, but it would take an awful lot of time and effort to hand sand or grind all of this when our sandblaster gives us that beautiful smooth finish.
Right, and I mean, they can probably notice a little bit of the texture on the camera,
Yeah.
but when you actually are able to feel that, it's incredible, because
And-
that would take forever.
Totally.
To
And
grind that
the
in.
adhesion of paint to a surface like this that is slightly rough if you feel it. It looks probably smooth on camera, but it's got a slight roughness
You need
to
a
it.
little bit of that for the paint to adhere.
Absolutely. You want those teeth for that paint to grab onto. So there's nothing better than a freshly blasted surface for adhesion.
All right, and some of the others, you've got some tubular also?
All right, so we use tubular steel, a thin wall tubing that we could easily weld. It would be light but strong. And then we used flat stock as well for a lot of the flat pieces that you see. The angle, the flat, and the tubing allows us to build just about any shape. So you see multiple shapes here. I think it was a total of about 16 or 17 pieces that went
Okay.
into this set. Each one constructed from these basic materials. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, that is a rule that anybody
Measure
that builds
twice,
anything always
cut
knows.
once. Yeah,
And finally, there's a lot of brick in here.
there is.
And
there
there
is.
was before,
There
but
was.
there's a little bit of difference in the brick.
There is. A brick was a component that was in our old set and one that we brought into our new set as well. But the brick we were using before was a sort of a two-dimensional product. There we are with the new product that we used, and it's actually an extruded product that you can easily cut. It's not made of stone, it's made of foam, actually. And so it's easy to cut and put that foam pieces, those pieces interlocked together. And you simply sort of snap into place, you set some screws in them, and you can actually put up a wall pretty quickly. The way that the piece is extruded gives us some very nice lighting effects as well. So they're a little trim to get it squared and true. Mackenzie and I, in one afternoon, producer Mackenzie and I put up that entire wall in pretty much one afternoon. So she was the
Nice little
supervisor.
puzzle, huh?
She was the supervisor, yeah. Yes, and it is a bit of puzzle pieces, but again, you mock it up and then screws and the blind elements of the piece lock it together. And then a little caulking fills up the gaps in between. And for all the world, people walk in and look at it and think, boy, you took the time to lay that brick? Well, no, we
Right.
actually just put it together. So
Yeah, see, because the one that was here,
this
right,
was our original set, piece of it, and you can see it's a real two-dimensional look. The light really doesn't play off of it very strongly. We knew lighting was going to be a big part of this, so you contrast it with the new piece, and we see that the way that the light plays off of that three-dimension, the way it's extruded, it's a much more realistic piece. And with standard definition cameras, again, 23 years ago, this piece played fine. It,
Right.
looked fine on
And
camera.
I was going to say, just turn that a little bit so maybe they could see the foam
Yeah.
on the,
Oh,
on
thank
the
you. Yeah.
edge, right? Because you were able
Right.
to saw through that pretty
Right.
easily.
And yeah, it's a soft foam product.
Right,
It
but
really
when
shapes
people
very
look at
nicely.
that's the illusion of the texture.
Absolutely.
Right, thinking, oh, that's a lot of brick laid there
Absolutely.
and stuff like that. Well,
Right,
it's
so,
foam.
and with high definition, you really see this and it really reads on camera, so.
Well, you know what? I mean, we had our open house a little while ago, and all of the guests that came in, I mean, overwhelmed with how
you.
awesome the set looks.
Yeah.
And during the year, you'll be able to see different aspects of it as we're moving around the studio and things like that. And it's not even finished yet.
It's
I mean,
a
we're just
work
about,
in progress.
we've got a little
Work
bit
in
more
progress.
coming and stuff like that.
Some more surprises
But
on the way.
a big thanks, John. I
Thank
mean,
you,
that's a
Mike.
lot of work right there.
Thank you.
That was something to keep you busy out of the summer, keep you out of trouble, right?
Yeah, that's what I needed in the long, hot summer.
All right.
Perfect.
You know what? Right now, we're going to go back. We're going to visit with Samantha, the 7th grade student from Warren Junior High in Mary Lou. And we're going to talk a little bit about what they've been doing in school, because Samantha is now in 7th grade. And we were talking a little bit about, and you said, a lot of the stuff that you're doing right now seems to be a 6th grade review. And why do you think they do that in 7th grade?
Because a lot of kids go home over the summer and just poof. It's
Kind of
gone.
forget the stuff, right? Right, because you need to keep using it, right? Keep practicing and stuff like that. So why don't you two ladies head over to the board and we're going to get started on some more problems. So one of the things you said that you're working on in class right now is integers, correct? So explain to Mary Lou what you know right now about integers as if she didn't know what they were. And just some of the basics of integers.
So an integer is a positive or whole number. It can be negative. Oh, I just said that. but you can multiply them, add them, subtract them, or even divide them. If they have different signs in multiplication, it would take the negative sign, and it's the same for division. But if you're adding, like if you're adding two negative numbers, it would stay negative.
Can you kind of show me a picture of what that looks like? I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
Can you show me a picture of what integers look like?
Yeah. So an integer example could be like 1, 2, or even like 13.
Okay.
And they can also be negatives like -5, -47, or -23.
So what does this look like? If I had a number line, can you kind of show me what this looks like on a number line?
So 0 is like your benchmark. It's like a middle point. And you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are the positive numbers.
Okay, so these are like our normal, our whole numbers that we always work with. Okay.
So that's positive. And over here is the negative side.
Do you want me to turn that to red for you?
Oh yeah, sure.
There you go.
Negative. And you would have like, it's the same numbers, just with a negative sign.
So tell me a little bit. I know that when I'm starting at 0 and I'm going to the right, my numbers are getting larger. Is that the same?
No.
Am I getting larger going to the left?
You're actually getting smaller because negative is like kind of, if you think about it like hot and cold, when you're trying to find somebody, that's like getting colder.
Okay, it's almost like owing money. So the more, like if I was at -25, I would, I don't want to owe $25 to somebody. I'm okay with owing like $2.
Yeah.
But I don't want to owe $25 to somebody. Okay, all right. So do we want to do some equations with our integers?
Hit me with one good one.
Okay. Can you do, let's do some adding, addition possibly. So help me out thinking through this. If I have -12 and I am going to add 7 to that.
Okay. Well, you could use like a number line.
Okay, can you show me on a number line what that looks like?
Yeah.
We can do, I'm going to just hit the eraser, and erase. Let's just do that. There we go. So, do we need to extend this out?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. And then I'll put that there for you.
And there's one more for effects. So you would start at -12.
Okay.
And since it's positive, you're going to be going right. So you would take 7 like little jumps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so you would land at -5.
Oh, because we're adding that 7, right, on. So as you said, when we're adding, we want to continue to the right.
Nicely done. I'm glad you were able to explain a little bit about that, because there are going to be a lot of students that are looking at that going, I'm not quite sure about these negative numbers and integers and how they work. So for your great work so far this afternoon, Sam, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Chick-fil-A, so congratulations on that. We'll be back with more right after this.
The word polymer literally means many parts. But a polymer isn't a specific thing. It's anything, usually a molecule or material, made of smaller repeating bits. Monomers. So, polymers are large molecules formed by linking together smaller repeating units called monomers. Many people think of plastics when they hear the word polymer, but polymers can be synthetic or natural. DNA, proteins that make up our hair and muscles, and cellulose, the molecule that gives plants their sturdy structure, are all natural examples of polymers. Like all molecules, polymers can have different shapes and sizes. So the properties of a polymeric material will depend on which atoms and molecules it contains and how they're connected. Some polymers are rigid and strong, while others are flexible. And researchers are constantly looking for new ways to create even better polymers with useful properties. Some scientists study spiders for clues because their silk polymers are famously strong yet flexible. Others are working on ways to control polymer assembly. This will allow them to create new kinds of materials that are easier to recycle, can fix themselves after they're damaged, or even respond when exposed to light or electricity. From muscle fibers to plastics, polymers are useful materials that we rely on every day. Understanding how to build them from different types of monomers will allow researchers to design and build a more flexible future, bit by bit.
Never knew you would find out that much about polymers now, did you? We are during our 23rd season of Do the Math right now, day 1 of year 23. We have Samantha, a 7th grade student from Warren Junior High, and Mary Lou in studio with us. We did a little bit of pattern work and looking for sequences and patterns, the ever famous Fibonacci sequence, right? Started talking a little bit about integers, and now you've got a little something else to go along with that. So take it away.
So this is Amplified's PolyPad, which has a lot of great resources, and it's a free tool to use. So we were talking about, we had our -12 plus 7, and you did a really great job showing what it looks like on a number line. We actually could use a number line here as well if we needed to. We would have a number line here, and you can pull that out. We can have our negative numbers, and you can kind of quickly show us again what that looked like. So if we wanted to, you had shown us we started here and you jumped 7 times that way to get to our answer. We also have a great tool with our number cards, because if we have -12, right, and you're saying +7, pull out the 7 card and lay it over the 12. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
What just happened?
it added it for you.
It did. It negated that together. It solved it. So it knew that you were taking the -12 with the +7, and it gave you your answer of -5. Okay, so think of another. Let's think of another problem. And here we used our negative and our positive numbers, right? But what if we have -3 plus -11? How would we do that on our number line? And I'm going to quickly erase this and that. So how would we do -3 plus -11?
Well, you would,
Oh, here, go ahead and just use your finger with the pen.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't need to use that.
so you would start at -3, and since you're adding a negative number, technically it's subtracting. So
Okay.
you would go left. You would go
Oh,
left.
and interesting. Instead of to the right, we're going to the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11.
So where are we ending up?
Well, it would be -14.
Oh, okay. So we would be at -14.
14.
Should we check our work to see if that's our solution?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to change our card here because, let's change it here. I want to make that let's take that away, put that here, take that away. Let's make that, it was a -3, right? A -3. So let's pull this card over. There you go. And then I'm going to make this one our -11. All right, I'm going to let you pull that card over. Let's see what it says. Drag it on top of that -3. Boom. There you go. Just another great resource to help you out and think about those negative numbers on how they really work.
That is a great resource right there. So did you like doing that with the PolyPad?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right? So just something, and a lot of times it just lets you know I did that correctly.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can
Exactly.
kind of work it out the way you did, and you were like, yeah, it's negative 14.
Yeah.
But then it verifies for you,
Yeah.
and it's another way to do it.
Exactly.
And if
So
you're
you-
stuck, it'll help you out also
Yes.
on that way. So what's one other feature you like about PolyPad that
Oh.
you may not get into a lot right now, but one other thing that you would like to show later
With
on?
the PolyPad, what I really, really like about the PolyPad is also our balance scale to help us understand, because you do a lot with equations, right? And you did that one earlier, thinking about how do we balance an equation. So we can actually put something in there. So I can stick a heart in there, and I could tell this because we know that the heart is equivalent to only 1, right?
Okay.
But I have that number as -5.
Oh,
and I want it to kind of equal. So what I can do is I can balance it out and make that heart equivalent to -5.
What?
So there's a lot of
There's
ways
a
you can go from
lot
there,
of
but
things
that's
you
just
can
one
do.
other little toy you can play with on that.
Yes.
And we're going to check that out right after this.
How do we launch things into space? You've probably seen beautiful photos of Earth and other planets in our solar system. Those photos were often captured by spacecraft, robotic explorers doing their work far away from Earth. But how exactly do we send these spacecraft so far away? Well, it starts with a rocket, a really, really big one. Why rockets? A spacecraft and basically everything else on Earth is held down by Earth's gravity. However, a rocket burns fuel, called propellant, to push away from Earth and against gravity. This creates a force called thrust. A rocket needs enough fuel and thrust to speed up to at least 17,800 miles per hour. That's how fast you'll have to get going to fly above most of Earth's atmosphere and stay in orbit. Next, the rocket will release the spacecraft, but when that happens depends on where you're going. A spacecraft that orbits Earth is sometimes called a satellite. A satellite is released from a rocket at a specific distance from Earth. There, it keeps going around Earth in a circular path, an orbit. This happens because there's a balance between the energy the satellite picked up from the rocket, called momentum, and the pull of Earth's gravity. The balance of these two forces can keep a satellite in orbit for many years. But what happens if you want to go farther than Earth? If you're trying to get to another planet, you'll need a fast rocket to overcome Earth's gravity. And you still need to release the spacecraft from the rocket. But you'll also need to figure out the best time to leave Earth to get to that planet. Take Mars, for example. Every 2 years or so, Mars and Earth are closest together. This is the best time to go to Mars, since it will require the least amount of fuel and time to get there. And if you want to explore even farther planets like Saturn, plan carefully. For example, will your spacecraft want to encounter Mars or Jupiter on its way to Saturn? But don't worry, all the planning is worth it when you end up with a view like this one. Find out more about our solar system at NASA Space Place.
Well, we had a lot of building going on for our 23rd season with our brand new set. We're going to do a little building right now. So Sam, you're going to build the inside of a machine. You're going to have to figure out what's going on. You give me a number between 1 and 10.
5.
5. So Mary Lou, on the left-hand side, write 5.
Okay, so
Okay, and Sam, on the right-hand side, I want you to write 15.
Okay.
oh, just use your finger.
Oh, yeah.
So you just
Sorry.
write 15. Do you have any idea what function is going on inside that machine right now, or do you have an idea?
Maybe like x plus x times 2.
Maybe, but do we know that that's what it is?
No.
All right. Give me another number besides 5 between 0 and 10.
4.
All right, let's put a 4 up there.
Okay, which side?
Left side. Okay, so now we're going to go, on your side, we're going to write 12. Mary Lou, you come up with a number on the left side.
Okay. 9.
Sam, do you think you know what's going on in there? You put down what you think is going to happen on the outside now. So put down what you think should come next on your side. All right. Now, you feel pretty confident you know what's going on inside that machine.
Yeah.
Prove to us what you think is going on.
Well, I think you could be multiplying that by 3, or you could be doing like x plus x times 2.
So I want you to write down whatever functions you think are going on inside that machine. Because there could be some possible ways of doing it differently, right?
Okay. I think that's all I've got right now.
No other ways to get that, you think?
I'm sure there are, but
Well, you came up with 2 ways. So
Yeah.
Mary Lou, is that the way that we were thinking about that function machine working?
Yes.
It is, all right? So, Sam, we're going to get rid of that stuff. We're going to make a new machine now.
okay.
All right, so get rid of all those numbers.
All right. Let's just erase.
And Sam, so Mary Lou put a challenge to you. And it wasn't a difficult one, right? It was, x times 3 or the other way that you had that, right? So I want you to come up with a function now and tell us the first and last number, and we'll see if Mary Lou can figure out what your function is.
Okay.
So think about it. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to think of a function. You don't want it too difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have something in mind?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Okay.
what should we start with? What should go into it?
Maybe a 4.
Okay, so
All
if
right.
I put a 4 through the machine.
And Sam, what would come out of it then?
A 20.
A 20.
20.
All right, so Mary Lou, do you have an idea of what this could be so far?
I do. Okay.
Well, what do you think it is?
Oh, I think it might be 5x.
So you think 5x.
Wow.
I could go x plus 16, couldn't I?
Could.
And I'd be correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
we
let's
had
try another set.
Yeah.
5x, and we had x plus
16.
x plus 16. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you 8.
Okay. So if I put the 8 in the machine, if I'm going with what this is before. So if I'm going with my thinking, it would be 40. But if we went with what Mike is thinking, we would have 24. So it'd either be 40 or 24.
So mine's out, I would think,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So one more, and then we'll see if we can figure out definitely what was going on.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you 12.
Okay.
I love the multiples of 4.
All right.
All right, Mary Lou, what's going to come out of that machine now?
Well, if I'm sticking with what I'm doing, then 60 has to come out. What are you thinking, though? What number would come out?
156.
What? 156.
So 156. So now let's find out. All right. So I'm going to give you about 20 seconds, Mary Lou, see if you can figure out what the function is. And then if she doesn't get it, Sam, we need to hear what it was.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness. I am stumped. 156 divided by 4. Now I'm trying to think. That goes.
All right, Sam.
38. What it?
What was it, Sam? Go ahead and write it out.
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah, there we go. Getting sneaky right
nice.
there. Nicely
Nice.
done. All right, come on over, ladies.
Nice job.
So that was pretty awesome how you used that exponent
I
right there.
know.
So you know, because you've been on Do the Math before, that you are an ambassador for Do the Math, correct? And you have told people in the past about Do the Math, haven't you? And you have received a Do the Math shirt, and I know that you have worn that proudly almost every day of your life, haven't you?
I wash it every time I get home.
Well, there you go. Good. Well, we have a little something different for you now. So do you have any idea what that is?
A Rubik's Cube.
A Rubik's Cube. You pretty good at those? You know how to solve those?
No.
No? Well, you know what? We've got a pretty cool one because this is the Do the Math Rubik's Cube. So what I want you to do is, because you're not very good at it right now, you might be like, well, I don't really like doing those things. But it's a challenge for you now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay? And how does your brain grow?
By struggling.
By struggling, right? So if you have this and you have somebody mix it up for you or something like that, and then you try it, your brain is growing simply by trying it. And then if you solve it, you can go, hey, old man, I solved that thing right there. That wasn't all that hard, now was it?
No.
All right, good. Did you learn a little something today? Mm-hmm. Did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. Well, you know what? There's a little something else where everybody can have a little bit of fun. Out at Com, the Ice Cream Zufari is coming up, and that's going to be happening this Saturday from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. So if you haven't been out to Com in a while, you can head out there, check out some of the animals, and have a root bear float. That's have you ever had one of those, a root bear float?
No.
I don't think I have either, but it sounds pretty interesting. So are there puzzles, not Rubik's Cube, but puzzles that you like to do with math that you can think of that you've done?
Well, there's lots of board games that involve math that I enjoy.
Okay, so what's one of those that you can share with us, something that you like doing that involves a little bit of mathematics?
Well, there's like a simple one. It's Scrabble, where you like add your scores.
You know what? It might seem simple, but that's a skill that a lot of kids need to acquire, right? And then when you have to triple your score, double the value and things like that.
So it could be like order of operations also.
Right. See, and that's something that you need to know, right? All right. Well, Sam, I certainly do appreciate you coming to celebrate our first day of our 23rd year. And the most famous 23 again?
Donnie.
There you go. We all love Donnie. Hey, until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, Edison International, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Kern High School District, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Valley Strong Credit Union, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.